One last question. Suppose, Lord Russell, this film were to be looked at by our descendants, like a Dead Sea Scroll in 1,000 years' time. What would you think it's worth telling that generation about the life you've lived and the lessons you've learned from it?
When you are studying any matter or considering any philosophy,
no effort was spared to minimize and mitigate the environmental impact of the project.
More than 250,000 workers will be employed on the project for several years.
First, a wide area would be deforested in order to clear all vegetation.
A tremendous bridge in the making.
The crushing machine breaks up the big rocks. The screening machine separates the sand and the small rocks.
Large stones were placed between the curbs to serve as foundations, and on top of them smaller stone layers all mixed up with fine aggregates to fill the gaps.
Yet today, the Russian factory worker has been described as the new symbol of a highly industrialized and aggressive world power. How has this startling transformation come about?
Congress responded with the Federal Aid Highway Act, providing the staggering sum of $51 billion to be spent by the states on highway construction by 1971.
In 1958, Mao launched his most ambitious campaign to date.
It is Communist China's leading holiday. Celebrations go on for 2 days.
The effects of the project are felt far beyond the Coquihalla corridor. In plants and factories throughout central and southwest British Columbia, some 7,000 people are hard at work producing components for the project.
In the last century, under the Russian Empire, this vast area was just beginning to build a modern economy and experiment with representative government.
A commune encompassed many villages with thousands of families. Each day was strictly regimented, and family life was virtually abolished.
How they built it over 2,000 years ago is still a mystery.
The result was that everything made of iron and steel was taken from every family and was made useless. During the Great Leap Forward, we believed miracles could happen. There was a saying, the corn will grow higher the more you desire. Communes and schools reported their wonderful news to the party. If one commune said they could turn out 150 tons an acre, another one would say their target was 180 tons.
They moved grain from other places and put it all in one field.
Commune on the outskirts of Shenyang. This was the headquarters of a new commune. It had been founded only 5 days before my arrival.
Speak of the Soviet military and industrial threat to our way of life.
After tipping out heaps of material, it had to be spread out with planks, watered from barrels, and finally compacted with rollers.
After the concrete is spread out over the road, it is leveled down until it is just right.
Here was a government trying to plan and carry out the complete transformation of the economy in 5 short years. Private property was confiscated, and peasants were herded into collective farms.
This plant made 30,000 tons of steel a year. And everywhere in China, near industrial plants and on communes, small furnaces have added their output to the big mills.
But when we depend on wheels, we depend also on highways and streets for the wheels to roll on. And therein lies the challenge, building highways and roads and streets fast enough to keep up with the need.
Under pressure to produce more, to launch satellites to heaven, as it was called, party officials inflated production figures. Millions of peasants were starving.
The famine was very severe and widespread, but newspapers did not report it at all. People only knew that their local area was suffering. To keep the news from spreading, peasants were not allowed to leave their areas, even to beg.
The Soviet government is working hard to solve the problems of overcrowding, double and even triple shifts, inadequate facilities, and low salaries for secondary teachers.
Now the roadway has become a highway. It leads into other larger highways. Highways that join together all parts of our country. Highways that let us travel quickly and safely, if we're careful, wherever we want to go.